7.9 billion people in the world. Why are you the right person for the job? There are other candidates with the same degree, the same experience, the same background. We all like to call ourselves passionate and team players. So why should you be hired? The TEDx team kindly asked me to share the story of how I landed my dream job and how the theme of this conference, Going Beyond, might help you do the same. I grew up in a fairly small but beautiful city in Belgium called Hasselt. I was an average student, and it wasn't until my second year of college that I realized that going beyond can really change your life. I'll tell you how that happened too. It happened in the second year of college when we had this course called event management. The only thing that we had to do for this course was organize an event. It didn't matter what type of event it was. It didn't matter whether or not it was profitable. We just had to organize an event. It had to take place in April or May, and we would have weekly feedback moments with our professors. So all of us started organizing a variety of different events. And I wanted to organize this international marketing conference in Belgium. I wanted to bring some of the best speakers from all over the world to come to Belgium and inspire hundreds of marketers and entrepreneurs in a church. Why a church? Because I believe that there was no better marketing example than religion. No offense to religion, I just thought that was always very impressive how religion was able to inspire and move billions of people around the world. And so we wanted to do that at the church, and I found two people actually that were crazy enough to organize this with me. The first speaker that we wanted to dream very high because as Carlos Brito once said during a speech, if you set the bar high, you will actually jump higher, right? No one will ever jump this high, even if they can, if the bar is set here. So you always got to keep, moving up the bar in order to actually see how high you can jump. So we're like, you know what? We're going to set the bar high right from the start. And one of the speakers that we really wanted was Kevin Roberts. He was a CEO worldwide of Saatchi & Saatchi, which is one of the largest advertising agencies in the world. And we wanted him to come and speak at our event in Belgium, but obviously, as we didn't have any budget, we realized that he wasn't going to come to Belgium if we just send him an email. So we went to the church, we recorded a video in which I invited him to come and speak at our event. We put the video on a USB key in the shape of a key because we thought he was the key to success. Super cheesy, I know, but we put the key in a booklet that explained the event, and again invited him to come and speak. And we wanted to get the booklet to him via the 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of separation is really just a theory that says that you can reach anyone, anywhere in the world through 5 connections, basically. So we know someone who might know someone who might know someone, etc. Kevin Roberts. Now we also realized that this booklet had to travel across the Atlantic Ocean as Kevin Roberts was living in New York at the time. And so we had to speed up that process somehow as we only had a few months to organize this event. So what we ended up doing was creating 3 of these booklets in 3 different colors, giving them to 3 different people, telling each of those people that the first color who would arrive in Kevin Roberts' hands, or the first color that would arrive in Kevin Roberts' hands, would give free access to the 5 people who passed on the booklet to our event. So 2 of the booklets we gave to our 2 professors to get them more involved and engaged, and 1 of the booklets we gave to a partner that we convinced to work with us. Now the 3 booklets leave. 1 month later, no response. 2 months later, no response. And so at that point, we could have given up, but Steven Spielberg got rejected for film school 3 times. He kept going, so we kept going too. We just had to figure out a different way. And so we actually went the simple way this time. We went to the Saatchi & Saatchi website, to the contact web page. Really just a basic page where you even have to prove that you're not a robot by indicating how many traffic signs you can see on the picture. But at least we had a story now. And so we wrote the story of what we tried to reach him. And the same freaking day we get a response. Not just some automatic reply or some assistant responding to us. No. They printed our email. They put it on his desk. He wrote with a pen his response on the letter. They scanned it in and sent it back to us. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he actually got back to us. So he was saying, hey Stijn, I can feel your optimism and enthusiasm throbbing. I haven't been in New York City for a few weeks, so I don't even know if your booklets have arrived, but I love the concept. I'd be honored to come and speak at your event, but unfortunately I'm committed in Cape Town on May 28th, which was the date that we suggested. So I get this email And I'm like, all right, we cannot give up on this. So I send him an email back. I say, hey, Mr. Roberts, we want you to speak at our event so badly that we're willing to reschedule the entire event to a date that is convenient for you. We suggested 6 other dates, send the email off, and 3 days later, he gets back to us again. He said, hey, Stijn, I know it's really hard to believe, but I really can't make it. And he even attached his itinerary with the stuff that he had to do on those 6 dates. Now, he's the CEO of a company with over 140 offices all over the world. Obviously, I understood that he was busy. So no need for that itinerary, but still, I really appreciate it. And the fact that he kept getting back to me made me want to continue to engage with him. So I sent him an email back. I said, hey, Kev. No, I said, hey, Mr. Roberts, how about you create a video for us that we can partly show to promote the event and get people to come to the church, and partly we use it the day of the event so that we still have you as a virtual speaker. Send off the email. I didn't expect anything, but I also didn't have to lose anything. So I just send it off. And a week later, we get an email back from Kevin Roberts, and he starts the video. He attached the video to the email, actually. And he starts the video with saying, hi, my name is Kevin Roberts, CEO worldwide of Saatchi & Saatchi. Marketing Inspiration, which was the name of the event. There's nothing I believe in more. And he went on to give his 10-minute speech. And we received that video. We go to our professors. We show it. They're excited. We're excited. But then we all realize that we still have to find some actual speakers that would show up at our event, of course. So I go on YouTube. And on YouTube, I find this guy named Sasha Strauss. He was the CEO of Innovation Protocol, which is a strategic brand consulting firm in Los Angeles. And I watched a 45-minute speech on YouTube from him. And after watching that video, I told myself, wow, not only do I want this guy to speak at our event, but I want to work for this guy. And I'm going to do everything possible to make that happen. So I get in touch with his office. I explain the entire event on the phone. His assistant is like, oh, wow, that's a great concept. We love the event. He's actually still available on the date that you mentioned. I was like, oh, my God, great. Just block his calendar already. They're like, okay, we're willing to do that. I hope you realize that there's this decent 5-figure speaking fee attached to him coming to Belgium. And for whatever reason, I'm on the phone and I say, you know what? Give me a few weeks. I'm going to try to make this happen. And so I hang up the phone, and for the next few weeks, I did nothing else but trying to find sponsors to get Sasha to come to Belgium. As we're doing that, one of the students that was co-organizing the project went to move on to another project because it was just so time-consuming, which I totally understand. My friends would call me. They would say, hey, can we go to the bar? Do you want to catch up over a drink? And I'd be like, sorry, I'm like trying to get the speaker to come to Belgium. And so for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would get on the train to Brussels, meet up with banks and other big companies that would have money and align with the values of our event. And some of those meetings I would walk out of with 10,000 euro sponsor contracts. And so after a few weeks, I was able to call Sasha's assistant back and say, hey, we're going to make this happen. We're ready to do this. So the assistant kind of confused. Wow, I didn't even think actually that you were going to call back, but great. We're super excited. So Sasha would obviously arrive the day before the event. He would be there the day of the event and then leave again the day after the event. I was like, great, thank you so much. I hang up the phone, and then I realized I actually had to arrange an internship for next semester. So I call his assistant back and I say, hey, would you mind telling me what Mr. Strauss's favorite food is, what his favorite car is, what his favorite hotel is, what his favorite music is? And I explained why I wanted to know all of that. And so when Sasha was going to come to Belgium, I was going to be way too busy organizing the event. So I asked one of my buddies to be the roadie who would drive him around for 3 days. Now, we both didn't have a fancy car, so I went to a local car dealer, convinced them to give us an Audi A7 to drive him around for 3 days. I gave my buddy a schedule for like the 3 days with everything that he had to do. So he would pick him up at the airport. Sasha would get in the car. His favorite music would start playing. We knew that he usually didn't really have a chance to like visit the cities that he would travel to for work. So we did an entire city trip with him in Brussels. We couldn't really compete with all of the fancy hotels that he usually stayed at, so we found this cool urban loft in Hasselt. But we even embroidered hotel slippers with his name on. And on Instagram, I found the name of his dog, so we embroidered an extra slipper with the name of his dog so he could take them home and his dog could run away with his slippers. Anyway, we went completely above and beyond because I wanted to give him an experience that he would never, never forget. And the second day, Sasha gives his speech, and he absolutely blows the crowd away. He was worth every single dollar. And after his speech, we have this small press conference, and one of the photographers asked us to go on a picture together. And it's like one of those classic business pictures, right, where you have to keep shaking hands. And as we're shaking hands, I'm just making this stupid joke saying, "Hey, Sasha, looks like you're hiring me." And he's like, "Dude, I am." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, the fact that you pulled off this conference and your buddy, the roadie, told me all about you. I would love for you to do your internship at my firm." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And so we stayed in touch. A few months later, I did my first internship at Innovation Protocol in Los Angeles. I tried to work my butt off to get a job there, and actually asked them if that was possible. They told me they had tried to apply for a visa for immigrants in the past, but it was really hard. So unfortunately, they weren't willing to do that. But I had to go back to Belgium. I did another internship in France. 6 months later, I graduated. I started applying for random jobs, didn't really know what to do. And at that point, I saw one of my coworkers of Innovation Protocol in Los Angeles posting on Facebook that they had open positions. And after all that, I thought to myself, you know what? Nothing is impossible after all this. I just have to go for it. I have to try again. And I knew I could try again, but I couldn't just try again. I had to go beyond. So what I did was I created this video overnight where I filmed myself competing. It was right during the presidential elections, and I competed with the presidential candidates, but then I ended up just wanting to work for Innovation Protocol. I created the video and I sent it to Los Angeles in the middle of the night in Belgium, so it arrived there in the middle of the day. And I didn't just send it to Sasha or HR, I sent it to the entire company. I wanted it to pop up on every screen. I wanted people to start talking about it and advocate for me. And within 5 minutes that they possibly could have watched the video, I get an email back from the general manager saying, "Oh my God, are you serious about this?" It was in all caps, that's why I'm shouting, by the way. And I was like, hell yeah. And so we started looking into visa options. And at first it actually seemed very hard. As a matter of fact, they told me, like, we're very excited, but it just doesn't seem feasible. We've been in touch with attorneys, etc. And so I took it up on myself, and I kept calling people and kept meeting with people. And I ended up meeting up with someone that actually met at the church during the event that we organized. And he was on the board of the Belgian American Chamber of Commerce, and he was able to help us with a visa for 1 year. So I pitched that idea to Innovation Protocol. Innovation Protocol told me, "Well, sorry, we can't really hire you as a strategist if it's just for 1 year, because it might take up to 9 months before you actually can start creating value for the company." So I pitched them, then what if I do business development? What if I do sales for you guys so I can create value sooner? And so they actually created a new role for me in which I could do business development for that amount of time. And so in the first few months, I really tried to prove myself. And after 4 months of working at Innovation Protocol, they were willing to apply for another visa, for a more longer term visa for me, which we didn't hear until the end of the year of my first visa that it actually got denied. So then we only had one more option, which was this one other visa for which I either had to win a Nobel Prize or fulfill 3 out of 9 requirements. And unfortunately, I hadn't won a Nobel Prize yet. I still haven't, by the way. But I looked at the 9 requirements, and the requirements such as getting articles published, having articles published about me. And I looked at the 9 requirements, and I was like, you know what? If I go all in, if I go beyond, this might actually work out. And so for 9 months, I did nothing else but trying to become an expert in the brand strategy field, got published in specific magazines and articles. And after 9 months, we got the visa, and I ended up going back to Innovation Protocol. And so I went back to Innovation Protocol. I worked there for a total of 5 years, 5 absolutely incredible and amazing years. I learned so much. We traveled the world together, consulting and speaking. And there was actually one trip that I will never forget. It was a trip with Sasha to Australia. We got to do a number of workshops there with a range of different clients. And at the end of the trip, I posted this picture of the two of us on Instagram. And in the caption, I thanked him for all of the opportunities that he had given me and how grateful I was to work with him. And the day after, he posted in the comments saying, "You get what you give, and you give a lot." And that comment to me forever is a reminder that if you put yourself out there, if you go all in, if you set the bar high, if you constantly try to exceed expectations, opportunities will come your way. And so another opportunity actually ended up coming my way, which Sasha actually ended up being very supportive of. It was an opportunity where I now got to create dream jobs for an iconic Hawaiian company. And so I started doing that, and the lessons from this story aren't really rocket science. As a matter of fact, sometimes all it takes is hearing a story like this to get started, because that's the hardest part to get started. And so what I really would love for you to remember from this talk is that next time you want to apply for your dream job, just realize that there's more than putting passionate or team player on your resume. Just realize that you too can go beyond. Thank you very much.